Let me ask you something. When you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you say to yourself? Or worse, what's the first thing you think? For most people, it's not empowering. It's usually something like, I'm tired, another day, or I'm already behind. What if I told you the words you choose the moment you open your eyes could determine how your entire day unfolds? This isn't about toxic positivity. This is about rewiring your brain. And no, you don't need to stand in front of a mirror and chant like a monk, but you do need to start taking control of your internal dialogue, because the most important voice you'll ever hear is your own. The first thing you say to yourself in the morning is not just a casual thought. It's a command to your brain. It sets the tone for how you show up in the world that day. Most people underestimate the power of those first few moments after waking up. You reach for your phone, scroll, compare your life to someone else's highlight reel, and before your feet even hit the floor, your mindset is already defeated. That's no way to start your day. What you say to yourself when you wake up matters. In fact, it might be the most important conversation you'll have all day. When you start your day by choosing your own words, empowering, focused, clear words, you begin to control your energy. You begin to own your time, your thoughts, and your purpose. You're no longer at the mercy of what's going to happen to you. You're deciding what happens through you. That's the shift. That's how winners think. They don't just roll out of bed and hope for a good day. They declare it. They design it. They lead with intention. It's not about faking happiness or pretending like everything is okay. It's about understanding that your words create your reality. What you repeat, you believe. So if the first thing you say in the morning is, I'm so tired, guess what? You're training your brain to stay tired. If you wake up and say, I don't want to deal with today, then your brain will go looking for every little reason to agree with that statement. But if instead you say, today is mine, I've got this, I can handle anything that comes, suddenly your brain is on your side. It becomes your partner, not your enemy. This is why morning self-talk isn't fluff. It's strategy. It's mental conditioning. It's the equivalent of going to the gym, but for your mindset. And the best part, you don't need fancy equipment or a personal coach. You are the coach. You are the voice. You are the leader of your own life, starting with that first moment when you open your eyes. You don't need to feel confident to speak confidence. You don't need to have it all figured out to tell yourself you will figure it out. You don't need to be fearless to speak courage. The key is showing up, saying it, and doing it even when it feels unnatural, because eventually it won't. It will feel like your truth because it will be your truth, not because life suddenly got easier, but because you got stronger. You program your brain to look for solutions, to stay calm, to hold focus, to build resilience. Think about the opposite, waking up and letting your fears, doubts, and insecurities speak first. That version of you doesn't get far. That version self-sabotages before the day even begins. But the version of you that wakes up and says, I am in control of how I respond to anything that happens today, is the version that moves forward. It doesn't mean everything goes perfectly, but it means you go powerfully. Your words are a tool, so use them. Speak with purpose. Speak to lead. Speak to remind yourself of who you are, especially when life tries to make you forget. Speak strength when you feel weak. Speak peace when your world feels chaotic. Speak direction when you feel lost. Speak love when you feel doubt, because your future self is listening. And every time you choose to speak life into your day, you get one step closer to becoming that person. You don't need an audience. You don't need approval. You don't even need to be in the mood. You just need to decide. Decide that you're done letting your mornings slip by on autopilot. Decide that you're done waking up to noise, to comparison, to distraction, and instead wake up to you, your voice, your truth, your power. From now on, before you grab your phone, before you look at your to-do list, before you worry about what anyone else needs from you, speak to yourself. Not just with words, but with conviction, because your day doesn't start with the world, it starts with your voice, and your voice is powerful enough to lead the entire day. Self-talk is one of the most overlooked tools of personal growth, yet it holds some of the greatest power. Every single day you're having a conversation with yourself, whether you're aware of it or not. That inner dialogue is shaping the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you behave. So the real question is, what are you saying to yourself? And is it helping you or hurting you? A lot of people think self-talk is just this random stream of thoughts, like background noise, but it's not. It's more like a personal coach that never stops talking. And here's the kicker. If that coach is negative, critical, and constantly second-guessing you, you're going to sabotage yourself. On the flip side, if that inner voice becomes supportive, focused, and intentional, you start unlocking parts of yourself you didn't even know were there. Let's get one thing clear. Self-talk isn't about lying to yourself. It's not about telling yourself that everything's perfect when it's not. It's about building the mindset that helps you face what's real with strength, not fear. When you say, I can handle this, you're not pretending life is easy. You're preparing yourself to rise to the occasion. That's the difference between being reactive and being resilient. And the tool that creates that shift is self-talk. Think about this. Your brain listens to everything you say, even when you say it silently. It doesn't know the difference between something that's said sarcastically or seriously. It just hears the words and stores them like data. If every morning the first thing you tell yourself is, I'm exhausted, I'm behind, or today's going to be rough, your brain takes that as the blueprint. It sets your emotional state based on those instructions. But if you start shifting the narrative, even just slightly, everything begins to change. Saying things like, I've handled worse, or I'm stronger than I feel right now, or one step at a time. Those phrases begin to act like anchors. They ground you when your emotions are trying to pull you under. And you don't have to fully believe them at first. Just like going to the gym, your inner strength grows with repetition. This is why your words must be intentional. When you speak to yourself with clarity and purpose, you interrupt the negative cycles that have been on autopilot for years. You create new neurological pathways. That's not fluff, that's science. Neuroplasticity proves that your brain can be rewired, and your self-talk is one of the tools that makes that happen. Another reason self-talk matters is because it builds identity, and identity shapes everything. When you consistently say to yourself, I'm disciplined, I follow through, or I don't quit, you start to act like the kind of person who lives those truths. It's not about pretending to be something you're not. It's about stepping into who you're capable of becoming. You don't wait until you feel confident to say confident things. You say them until you start becoming that version of you. And let's be real, no one else is in your head 24/7 but you. You are the one voice that's always there, so it better be one that supports you. You can't always control what happens in your day, but you can always control how you respond, and that response starts with the conversation happening in your own mind. So start treating self-talk like a tool, not a thought. Write down the words you want to hear. Say them out loud. Even if identity is formed by repetition, it's not about what you say to yourself once in a while. It's what you repeat daily without even realizing it that becomes the core of how you see yourself. Your identity isn't just a set of traits you're born with. It's a story you've been telling yourself, and most of the time, you're not even the one who wrote it. Your parents, teachers, past experiences, social media, even heartbreaks and setbacks, all of these moments contribute to the inner narrative you now accept as truth. But here's the game changer. That story isn't set in stone. You can rewrite it. And the rewriting doesn't start with massive life overhauls or waiting until you feel ready. It starts with words, the small, powerful affirmations you speak to yourself daily, because your brain believes repetition more than anything else. You could have 100 empowering moments in your life, but if your daily self-talk is negative, guess what gets imprinted into your identity? The negativity, because it's repeated. That's why people can be loved deeply by others and still feel unworthy. It's not about what they experience. It's about what they repeatedly tell themselves. If you tell yourself every day, I'm not good enough, even subtly through self-deprecating jokes or internal criticism, you will begin to live from that identity. You will shrink yourself. You'll avoid risk. You'll downplay your dreams. You'll sabotage success. Why? Because your actions always follow your identity, not the one you want, the one you believe. So when we talk about telling yourself powerful things in the morning, we're not just talking about positive vibes. This is brain science. This is reprogramming. You've built an internal map that tells you what's possible, what you deserve, and how the world works. And that map is flawed if it was formed from pain, rejection, or fear. But repetition is the tool you can use to redraw it. Say, I am enough every day. And at first, you might feel like a liar. You'll feel resistance. Your brain will pull out all the evidence of why you're not. But say it again tomorrow, and the next day, and again. Because what you repeat, you begin to absorb. And what you absorb becomes your truth. Over time, you're no longer saying, I am enough to convince yourself. You're saying it because you know it. That's when your identity shifts. The same goes for everything else. Want to become more confident? Start saying, I speak with confidence. Even if your voice trembles, even if your hands shake, keep saying it. Your identity doesn't shift when you feel different. It shifts when you act different, when you speak different, consistently. Want to be disciplined? Tell yourself every morning, I follow through on what I say. Then do it. Not perfectly, just more often. When you start repeating those words and then backing them with small actions, you begin to trust yourself again. That trust rebuilds the version of you who shows up fully, the version of you who doesn't procrastinate, doesn't overthink, and doesn't live in self-doubt. This is the process. Repetition leads to belief, belief leads to identity, and identity leads to action. It's not magic. It's alignment. And when your identity aligns with your goals, you stop feeling like you're constantly pushing a boulder uphill. Things begin to flow, not because they get easier, but because you change. So here's the bottom line. Stop waiting to feel different before you start saying different things to yourself. You don't need to believe it yet. Just speak it again and again. Make it a habit, because eventually your brain will stop arguing. It'll accept the new narrative. And when it does, that becomes your new baseline, your new identity. That's the power of repetition. That's how you build a stronger you, from the inside out. Affirmation without action is just noise. It's a beautiful quote. Worthy idea to tell yourself, I'm confident, I'm strong, or I'm successful. But here's the truth. If you stop at just saying it, nothing changes. If you don't move your body, shift your habits, make a new decision, or face the hard thing you've been avoiding, those words fade into the background like a song you've heard too many times. They lose their power, not because affirmations don't work, but because people think saying is enough. It's not. Affirmation is a spark. It lights the fire, but you still have to gather the wood and keep the flames alive. So if you're standing in front of your mirror each morning, repeating positive lines, but living a life that contradicts them, you're not affirming, you're pretending. You're feeding yourself words that feel good in the moment, but don't lead to transformation. It's like reading about fitness and expecting muscles, or watching cooking shows and wondering why you're still hungry. Knowledge without execution is just entertainment. Here's what people miss. Action is what gives the affirmation truth. When you tell yourself, I'm disciplined, and then actually get up and make your bed, go to the gym, and tackle the project you've been avoiding, that action reinforces the belief. That's when your brain starts to listen. That's when your self-talk becomes powerful. You say it, then you show it. Let's say your affirmation is, I'm a confident communicator. Great. Now what? Are you speaking up in meetings? Are you having that difficult conversation you've been avoiding? Are you recording the podcast, posting the video, raising your hand, asking the question? Confidence isn't a feeling you wait for. It's a skill you build through repetition. Affirm it and then live like it's already true. People often say, but I don't feel like it. That's the problem. You're waiting for your feelings to give you permission to act, but the truth is feelings follow action, not the other way around. You don't act brave because you feel brave. You feel brave because you acted when you were scared. You don't become disciplined by waiting for motivation. You become disciplined by choosing to follow through even when every part of you wants to hit snooze. Affirmations without action are like planting seeds but never watering them. Yes, you might have planted something powerful. Yes, it has the potential to grow, but without follow through, without showing up, it dies. The power is in the doing, in the small, consistent, uncomfortable steps that match the energy of the words you're speaking into your life. So how do you fix this? Pair every affirmation with a commitment. If you say, I am strong, then ask yourself, what would a strong version of me do today? If you say, I love myself, then prove it. How are you treating your body, your time, your boundaries? If you say, I'm successful, then what uncomfortable thing will you do that aligns with someone who's actually chasing success? Stop looking at affirmations like magic spells. They're not. They're tools. They're reminders. They're fuel. But you still have to drive the car. You still have to build the road. And yes, it's hard. Yes, it's uncomfortable. But that's the whole point. The only way to create a new identity is to act like it already belongs to you, even when it doesn't feel natural yet. Don't let affirmations become a crutch. Use them as a cue, a trigger, a starting point. Say the thing and then do the thing. That's where the growth is. That's where your confidence lives. That's where real change begins, because at the end of the day, the loudest voice in your life will always be your own. And if your words and actions match, you become unstoppable. You don't need to believe it first, just say it. That might sound backward, but it's one of the most transformational truths you'll ever learn. We've been taught that belief has to come before action, that you have to feel confident, motivated, or ready in order to take the step, say the words, or pursue the dream. But let's get real. If we waited until we felt completely ready, we'd never move. We'd stay stuck in the same place, running the same thought loops, repeating the same negative affirmations in our minds like, I'm not good enough. Who am I to do this? Or it won't work out anyway. But there's a shift that happens when you stop waiting to feel worthy and you just start speaking like you are. There's power in language. Words are not just expressions, they're activators. They activate emotions, beliefs, decision. That's why self-talk matters so much more than people give it credit for. You may not feel strong, but when you say, I am strong, your brain starts to look for evidence that it's true. Say it enough times and your subconscious will begin to adapt that statement as fact, not fantasy. This isn't about lying to yourself. It's about leading yourself. When you say powerful things like, I've got this, or I can figure this out, it's not because you know the outcome. It's because you're choosing to create a mindset that empowers you to show up with clarity and confidence. And when you show up like that, the outcome changes. That's the real magic. Let's talk science for a moment. Your brain loves patterns. It thrives on repetition. So when you repeat something enough times, even if it's not true in the moment, your brain begins to rewire itself to believe it. That's called neuroplasticity. And that's why affirmations work, not because they're mystical, but because they're practical. Your brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. It only knows what you keep feeding it. Think about how often you've reinforced negative beliefs. I always mess things up. I never follow through. People always leave. Those are affirmations too, just destructive ones. If you can affirm your limitations with such certainty, you can affirm your power the same way. You just have to decide to switch the narrative. Here's the truth. Action breeds belief. The moment you speak the words, I am capable, and you take a small action in alignment with that, you start to believe it a little more. You don't have to fully believe it yet. Belief grows in motion. It grows when you're willing to act even with the fear, even with the doubt. So speak the truth of the person you are becoming, not just the one you feel like today. This is especially powerful in the morning. Why? Because your mind is most impressionable when you first wake up. That's when your brain is moving from theta into alpha brain waves. A prime time to feed it something intentional, something bold, something that sets the tone for the rest of your day. That's why saying those 12 lines to yourself each morning can feel uncomfortable at first, but that discomfort is exactly where change begins. You're not supposed to fully believe them on day one. You're training your mind to catch up with your destiny. Start small. Write those lines down. Speak them out loud, even if your voice shakes. Even if it feels fake. Speak them in the mirror, in the car, while making coffee. Make it a ritual. You're not waiting to become someone new. You're building them right now, line by line, word by word. Eventually, you won't just say, I am enough. You'll start to feel it. You won't just declare, I can handle this. You'll move through chaos with calm. The words become a part of you. And not because you waited for belief to arrive, but because you chose to speak life into your mind, even before your heart was ready to catch up. Speak it anyway. That's how transformation begins. Consistency is the most underestimated form of greatness. We love the idea of big wins, grand gestures, and magical transformations overnight, but the truth is, none of that matters if you don't show up every day. When it comes to rewiring your mindset, building a better version of yourself, or simply keeping your peace in a chaotic world, consistency isn't just helpful, it's everything. And yet, it's the thing most people abandon the quickest. Why? Because consistency isn't sexy, it's not dramatic, it doesn't feel like a breakthrough, it feels like brushing your teeth, it feels like repetition, like effort without immediate reward. But here's the thing, everything you admire in others, everything you want to achieve, everything you desire to become, it all lives on the other side of consistency. Not intensity, not motivation, just showing up every single day. Let's break this down practically. You decide to speak empowering words to yourself every morning. That's great. You do it the first day, and it feels good. You do it the second day, and maybe your mood improves. By the third or fourth day, it starts to feel repetitive, boring, and that's where most people quit. They think this isn't doing anything anymore. But what they don't realize is this: the work is working, even when it's invisible. Consistency isn't about seeing instant results. It's about trusting that small actions, when repeated often enough, create massive internal shifts. Your subconscious mind doesn't change overnight. You can't unlearn years of negative programming in a week. But if you keep watering the seed, even when it looks like nothing is happening, eventually roots form, growth happens, confidence builds, and then one day it's second nature. Think about it like this. If you only go to the gym when you feel like it, your body won't change. If you only save money when you're motivated, your finances won't grow. And if you only speak power into yourself when life is going smoothly, your mental strength won't last when the storm comes. You have to train your mind the way you'd train any other muscle, daily, intentionally, consistently. And let's get real for a second. You're already consistent at something. Maybe you're consistent at self-doubt, at replaying the same fears, at scrolling aimlessly and comparing your life to others. That's consistency too. It's just the kind that works against you. The key is not if you're consistent, but what you're consistent with. You can't escape the power of habits, but you can direct them. You can decide what you want to repeat. So what does that look like in real life? It looks like waking up and saying, I am enough, even when you feel inadequate. It looks like setting a boundary with someone, even if your voice shakes. It looks like showing up for your morning routine even when your bed feels more inviting. It's not about being perfect. It's about not quitting. You want to change your life, change what you do every day, not once in a while, every day. That's where the power is. That's where identity shifts. And yes, it will be boring sometimes. Yes, you will feel like nothing's happening, but stay the course. Because while the world is chasing the next big thing, you'll be quietly, patiently becoming unshakable. Your peace, your confidence, your ability to handle life with strength, it's built in the quiet, ordinary moments that no one sees. It's built in your habits, your rituals, your routines. And when you get consistent with the right ones, you don't just change how your day starts, you change who you are. So don't underestimate the power of showing up, of speaking life into yourself, of repeating what serves you until it becomes your truth. The version of you you're trying to become, they're waiting on the other side of your consistency. Not next month, not after you feel ready. Start now, stay consistent, and watch what happens. The idea of choosing discipline over drama is one that might sound simple, but it is a game changer in how we approach life's challenges. Think about the amount of energy you give to external distractions. Think about the time you've spent reacting to situations or people that disrupt your peace. It's draining, isn't it? So what if you could choose to protect your energy and channel it into something far more powerful? Discipline. Discipline isn't just about forcing yourself to follow rigid rules or sticking to a schedule, though it can involve those things. It's about having the mental strength to focus on what truly matters. It's about consciously choosing where to place your attention and what to invest your emotional energy in. It's the ability to take control of your responses and not let life's drama pull you into unnecessary chaos. In a world where distractions are endless, whether it's the noise from social media, the opinions of others, or the constant barrage of tasks and commitments, discipline gives you the power to filter out the noise. It allows you to stay focused on your personal goals, your growth, and your peace of mind. Instead of getting caught up in every drama, you choose to focus on what you can control. You take charge of your thoughts and your actions, knowing that you have the power to direct them toward your higher purpose. Now let's talk about why discipline has a deeper impact on your life than drama ever could. When you choose discipline, you're choosing consistency. You're choosing to do what you know is right, even when it's not easy, even when the temptation to react impulsively is strong. And it's in those moments when you choose the steady course of discipline that you set yourself apart. You're not reacting like everyone else. You're responding from a place of strength, of self-mastery. Drama, on the other hand, feeds off of emotion. It thrives when you react impulsively, when you allow yourself to be pulled into the chaos of external situations. The moment you engage in drama, you lose your power. You give your energy to something that has no productive outcome. It might feel satisfying in the moment. Maybe you get to express your frustration, vent your anger, or talk about someone behind their back. But in the end, all that drama does is drain you. It keeps you stuck in a cycle of negativity that doesn't help you move forward. It distracts you from what's important. It keeps you focused on the wrong thing. Choosing discipline doesn't mean you ignore your feelings or deny your emotions. It means you recognize them and decide not to let them control you. It's about understanding that you don't have to react to every situation with the same intensity or emotion. You have the power to pause, to think, and to decide how you want to respond. You don't have to feed into every argument or take on the weight of every problem that comes your way. You can step back, choose your response, and maintain your inner peace. There's something incredibly freeing about choosing discipline over drama. When you focus on your goals, your growth, and your well-being, you start to realize just how little space drama needs in your life. You stop making time for things and people that drain you. You start saying no to situations that don't align with your values. You stop getting caught up in gossip or unnecessary conflict, and instead, you pour your energy into things that matter, things that move you forward. When you make the shift to discipline, you start to prioritize your long-term happiness and success over short-term distractions. You begin to see the bigger picture, and in doing so, you align your actions with your goals. Instead of reacting to every little thing, you choose to rise above it. You recognize that your peace is too valuable to be disturbed by drama. You understand that by staying disciplined, by focusing on what's important to you, you are investing in your future. Every time you make that choice, you are building a foundation of strength, self-respect, and confidence. And yes, there will be moments when drama tries to pull you in. There will be moments when you feel the urge to react, to get involved, to give in to the temptation of engaging with negativity. But in those moments, remind yourself that you have the power to choose. You don't have to let someone else's drama become your reality. You don't have to let their chaos steal your peace. You have the ability to step back, stay silent, and focus on what you can control. Your response, your energy, and your path forward. Choosing discipline over drama is a decision you make every day. It's a commitment to living intentionally, to protecting your peace, and to staying focused on your goals. And the more you practice this, the stronger you become. You build resilience, you build confidence, and you create a life that's aligned with your values and your purpose. So the next time drama comes knocking, remember, you don't have to answer. You have the power to stay focused, stay disciplined, and let go of what doesn't serve you. Your peace matters more than anything else. Choose discipline and watch your life transform. When you start your day, you have a choice. Do you allow your mind to be clouded with doubt, worry, or fear, or do you take control and choose clarity, confidence, and focus? Your self-talk is a direct reflection of how you show up in the world. It shapes your energy, your mood, and ultimately your actions. The most successful people in the world, the ones who are able to push through challenges, break down barriers, and achieve their goals, are the ones who understand the power of their words. And that power starts with how they speak to themselves each day. When you tell yourself, I speak to myself like someone I love, you are actively choosing to show up for yourself in a way that nurtures your growth. This isn't about giving yourself empty praise. It's about speaking to yourself with the same kindness, care, and respect that you would give to someone you deeply care about. Too many of us are quick to criticize ourselves when we make a mistake or fall short of our expectations. We would never say the things we say to ourselves to a close friend or loved one, yet we're comfortable berating ourselves with negative thoughts and self-doubt. But here's the truth. When you speak to yourself with kindness, you open up a pathway for growth, resilience, and self-compassion. You allow yourself to fail without being consumed by guilt or shame. You allow yourself to succeed without feeling like you don't deserve it. You give yourself the space to be imperfect, to make mistakes, and to learn from them. Speaking to yourself like someone you love isn't about ignoring your flaws or pretending everything is okay. It's about acknowledging that you are worthy of care even when things aren't going according to plan. Think about it. If you truly loved yourself, you wouldn't beat yourself up over every mistake, every setback. Instead, you'd offer yourself encouragement, understanding, and patience. You'd remind yourself that mistakes are a part of life, that they don't define you, and that each day is an opportunity to try again, to grow, and to evolve into the person you want to be. When you choose to speak to yourself with love, you create an internal environment that fosters confidence, self-belief, and motivation.